Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Barakahak Wadash, Barakathum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure to the end. And to the few sincere Akwat diligently learning in silence, Shalom. This is the brother Ra'aya coming at you with another lesson, and I'll be reading from an article from rawstory.com titled, Top Trump Officials Rush to Purchase Nuclear War-Proof Bunkers After Iran Attack, report says. So, hey, these top officials fearing nuclear war, what should that say to the average person out there? That nuclear war is on the horizon, which we don't need these articles to tell us that. Biblical prophecy tells us that. And it also tells us that these elites in society are going to be fleeing to, underground bunkers, undersea bases, even low orbit space stations to escape the great, terror that's about to befall this earth. The time of Jacob's trouble, the war of Armageddon, nuclear devastation, but they're not going to rise to the surface like the phoenix to continue, ruling or fulfill their NWO. All these different places that these elites and higher-ups are going to be going to is just a place to preserve them until the new rulers come and put them to work. The nation of Israel, or the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, beginning with the 144,000 of the elect underneath Yahushai, the Son of the Most High, whom the world ignorantly refers to as so-called Jesus. Since President Donald Trump's unprecedented attack on Iran last week, at least two top Trump administration officials have raced to purchase their own survival shelters designed to withstand an apocalyptic nuclear war scenario, the Telegraph reported on Sunday. And what did you just have some U.S. commanders tell their soldiers in the U.S. military? That they're going to be fighting in the war of Armageddon. Salakia. The revelation, which I like how this article's using a lot of biblical terminology. The revelation comes from Texas resident Ron Hubbard, who owns Atlas, a company that manufactures survival bunkers designed to withstand biological or nuclear fallout, EMP attacks, and other catastrophic scenarios. Hubbard spoke with the Telegraph and revealed that since the U.S. attack on Iran, inquiries had gone up tenfold, including inquiries from two senior Trump administration cabinet members. One of them texted me yesterday asking me, "When will my bunker be ready?" Hubbard told the Telegraph, referring to one of the officials, here's some free advice. If you're planning on building any bunkers to try to survive whatever comes to America, which is ultimately nuclear destruction, you better be looking for real estate outside of the country, because everyone inside America, no matter how deep you dig or whatever, outside of the 1/3 of the elect are going to be, fuel for the fire when nuclear missiles hit this place. No one will survive. Neither will anyone ever set foot on this place ever again. Which brings us to Isaiah chapter 13. I'm going to start at verse 17. Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them. And this isn't talking about the ancient Medes. This is talking about the spiritual Medes, the Russians. Gog, as they're also known as in Ezekiel 38, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. When the time comes for nuclear missiles to be fired during World War III, damn sure the federal, the U.S. dollar, gold, silver, Nuclear peace treaties or weapons bans aren't going to stop those Russians from turning those keys and launching those nukes. It's all the will of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. As it says in Proverbs 21 verse 1, the king's heart or mind is in the hand of the Lord to moveth it whichsoever he will. Their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces, and those bows are some Salakia. Been a little bit under the weather lately. And those bows are symbolic for the silos and launch platforms that these nuclear arrows are going to be fired from. And they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eyes shall not spare children. So these missiles aren't going to discriminate. Man, woman, child, young, old. Everyone outside of the 1/3 of the elect in America, including 2/3 of our wicked people, are going to be destroyed by these nuclear missiles. Verse 19, and Babylon, Babylon the Great, the virgin daughter of Babylon, the United States of America, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency shall be as when the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. And how was Sodom and Gomorrah destroyed? By fire and brimstone from the sky. So this modern day spiritual Sodom and Gomorrah is going to be destroyed by modern fire and brimstone. 200 million nuclear missiles that are going to hit this place and turn it into the biblical lake of fire. Verse 20, it shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation, neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there. So point blank period. Once those missiles hit this place, that's going to be all she wrote. Man, woman, or child is never going to set foot on this place ever again. And after the dust settles, only harsh desert creatures are going to dwell here after a time. Salakia. As it says, but wild beasts of the desert shall lie there, and their houses shall be full of doleful creatures, and owls shall dwell there, and satyrs shall dance there. Point blank period. I'm going to jump around a bit just to get to the main points. News outlets have also increased their coverage of the possibility of an all-out nuclear war erupting in the wake of the U.S. attack on Iran. The New York Post published a report Sunday on which foods might help protect against radiation exposure, and AOL.com recently published its list of the 10 safest countries to survive nuclear war amid World War III countries. And best believe, hey, if America is on that list, America damn sure shouldn't be on that list, as we read in Isaiah 13. Amid those fears, business has been booming for Hubbard, who also told The Telegraph that his recent clients were almost all Christian conservative CEOs, which included several of the wealthiest men on the planet, though he declined to identify them. The revelation of top Trump administration officials racing to purchase survival bunkers raised alarm even among conservatives, including Andrew Day, senior editor at the American Conservative. Why are senior Trump officials urgently ordering Armageddon-proof bunkers for themselves since the war with Iran began? Day wrote Sunday in a social media post on X, which should be obvious. They have more intel into the current situation, than the average everyday person, so they're preparing accordingly. But according to biblical prophecy, we know that these elites and different higher ups in society, as it said in this paragraph. Some of those included that were buying bunkers from Atlas were several of the wealthiest men on the planet. Ultimately, for them to be, saved from this destruction just so they can serve as the first fruits of slavery in the kingdom of heaven. But let's get back to these precepts. This is Isaiah chapter 24, verses 19 to 22. The earth is utterly broken down. The earth is clean dissolved. The earth is moved exceedingly. Salakia. The earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall be removed like a cottage. You know, when those nuclear missiles are shot to the ends of the earth during World War III, the earth is literally going to shake from all that destructive power, and the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it, and it shall fall and not rise again. Now here's the point I wanted to get to. And it shall come to pass in that day that Yahweh shall punish the host of the high ones that are on high, and the kings of the earth upon the earth. You know, your Rothschilds, your Rockefellers, these bankers, these different elite families, even these, lower luminaries, like your B. Gateses, your Jeff Bezoses, with your Elon Musks, if they survive. But, those type of people. Verse 22, and they shall be gathered together as prisoners are gathered in the pit, and they shall be shut up in the prison, and after many days they shall be visited. Now I want to get verse 22 in a few different translations. I'll get it in the NIV first, and then the NLT. They will be herded together like prisoners bound in a dungeon. They will be shut up in the prison and be punished after many days. NLT. They will be rounded up and put in prison. They will be shut up in prison and will finally be punished, because these elites aren't going to be punished, by these different governments or man's laws, so to speak. All this talk with the big Stein files, they'll throw your token in there to make you think that shit's moving. Like Prince Andrew over in the UK. But as for the real big players, no justice is going to come, because this current earth is given into the hands of the wicked, the Edomites, the so-called white people. So until Yahushai, makes his second coming, which marks the end of Esau's rulership, and then Yahushai and the 144,000 come off those chariots, hey, these elites aren't going to be punished. But now I'm going to jump down to the Good News translation. God will crowd kings together like prisoners in a pit. Salakia. Every time I talk, I get like a tickle in my throat. But again, the Good News translation. God will crowd kings together like prisoners in a pit. He will shut them in prison until the time of their punishment comes. When all hell truly starts breaking loose, if they already aren't staying there now, these kings of the earth, these great men, are going to crowd to all their bunkers and safe spaces, and then the destruction's going to take place, and like prisoners, they're going to be shut up until the time of their punishment comes, when Yahushua and the 144,000 come off those chariots and go to these different places they're hiding at, and drag them out like the rats they are, to slap cold iron chains on them so they can begin serving the first 1,000 years of the kingdom of heaven, building it up. Which I'll get that real quick. This is Amos chapter 9. I'm going to start at verse 1 and look at what the header says. God's judgment unavoidable. I saw the Lord standing upon the altar, and he said, smite the lintel of the door, that the posts may shake, and cut them in the head, all of them, and I will slay the last of them with the sword. He that fleeth of them shall not flee away, and he that escapeth of them shall not be delivered. And those that are trying to flee and escape are these kings and great men of the earth. But as it said, they won't be able to flee or escape from them. Again, Yahushua and the 144,000 who are fishers of men right now prophesying this word, but in that day will be hunters and going and hunting you from everywhere you're hiding at. Though they dig into hell, and that word hell is Sheol, or the grave, so underground bunkers. Thence shalt mine hand take them, the elect going into those underground bunkers. Though they climb up to heaven, thence will I bring them down. Low orbit space stations, which, over the last couple of years, you've had these different billionaires come up with civilian, space travel programs like Virgin Space, Blue something with Jeff Bezos, and then you got SpaceX with Elon Musk. Verse 3, and though they hide themselves in the top of Carmel, going into mountain bases, I will search and take them out thence. And though they be hid from my sight in the bottom of the sea, undersea bases, or even luxury submarines which they have, thence will I command the serpent, and he shall bite them. So even Leviathan is going to be coming after, some of you elites along with the elect. But I'm going to go to Revelation chapter 6, start at verse 12. And the header reads, the sixth seal, terror. And I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, those nuclear missiles, causing the earth to reel to and fro like a drunkard. And the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood, and the stars of heaven fell into the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. And the sun becoming black as sackcloth and the moon became as blood, it can represent Esau, Edom's knowledge, or the sun, and his wisdom, or the moon, no longer having any power to it. Because once those nukes start flying, and especially when Yahushua makes his second coming, all these pseudosciences that Esau has used to deceive the people won't matter anymore. And the stars of heaven falling unto the earth, goes into, these different idols, these different gods with a lower G, philosophies as well. These people that are the average person looks up to, whether they be these billionaires or these celebrities, no longer mattering either. Verse 14, Salakia. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places. And the heaven departing and rolling together as a scroll is that mushroom cloud from those nuclear missiles. Because what? When a nuclear missile detonates, that mushroom cloud goes up to the atmosphere and billows into itself and, looks like a scroll being rolled together. And also, stars from heaven can represent those missiles because, when you see them, the last thing you see when you see them coming, they look like what? Stars falling from heaven. Verse 15. And the kings of the earth and the great men, those that were shut up in the pit, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man, hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains. These underground bunkers, these mountain bases, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, Yahweh, the heavenly Father, whom the world ignorantly refers to as so-called God, and from the wrath of the Lamb, Yahushai, his son. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? Not a goddamn person, as it said back in Amos chapter 9, verse 1. He that fleeth of them shall not be able to flee, and he that tried to escapeth of them shall not be able to escape. And like we've been going into in this lesson, you elites and other higher ups, some of you are going to survive, this coming destruction, so that you will serve as the first fruits of slaves in the kingdom of heaven, which is only fitting. You created this whole mess and turned this earth into a trash can, so it's only right that you're some of the first ones to fix your mess. But I'm going to close it out in Psalms 149. I'm going to start at verse 4. For Yahweh taketh pleasure in his people. He will beautify the meek with salvation, the Israelites beginning with the elect. And then, after the wicked of our people are cut off, they're going to come back into the kingdom through the loins of the elect, righteous. Let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing aloud upon their beds. The nation of Israel finally being at rest in peace in the kingdom of heaven. Let the high praises of the Most High be in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hand. To do what? To execute vengeance upon the heathen and punishments upon the people. To judge you heathens for the wickedness you've been walking in, and for afflicting the children of Israel, which, when you go to Psalms chapter 83, dealing with the table of heathen nations that confederated themselves against the nation of Israel to cut them off from being a people, at the beginning of that list are you Edomites, you so-called white people. Verse 8, to bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron, putting them into hardcore bondage and slavery, to execute upon them the judgment written, this honor have all his saints, praise ye Yahweh, point blank period. It's going to be an honor for the elect, which Yahweh, Yahweh Ratazah, Yahweh Shai Ratazah, I'm of that number, to put you elites, to be there, to be that first fruits, to, get you wicked elites and put you into slavery. But that's it with this video. With this video, I hope you sincere Akim and Akwath were edified. Just keep strong. We are almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time, Shalom.